Let's kick it off. I'm with Carl Anker outside the stadium in Bilbao. Carl, how are you feeling for the game?
Good, confident.
Really confident? I listened to your pod, the European Finals pod. You were getting the juices flowing.
Yeah.
But you were feeling nervous. You were giving that nervous energy a little bit when you think about it.
Yeah.
You're feeling a bit nervous as well. But now you're feeling confident.
Yeah, absolutely. I didn't come this far just to come this far. So.
Nice. Is it the heritage? Yeah. You can feel it. Love that. Let's kick it off. I'm Steve, and I'm joined by Ash and Uz, and we're in San Sebastian. The game yesterday went the way we were fearing very badly and couldn't even contemplate pre-match, and Spurs beat us 1-0 in the final of the Europa League. Ange said prior to the game, I'm not a clown, and it turns out that we're the clowns. Ash, how do you feel after that defeat to Spurs?
I can't deny, absolutely devastated by the result. Yeah, I was thinking pretty much lowest moment as a United fan, losing to Tottenham in a European final. And yeah, I don't want to get into the game just yet, but yeah, the feeling is probably as low as you could get.
Yeah, well, we'll talk like pre-match and how we're feeling pre-match, but Uz, how are you feeling right now?
I'm wondering why this podcast is still going, to be honest. Did we agree to finish it?
You wanted this episode.
Oh, did I?
Yeah.
Okay, well, I'm really thankful for all the people that have listened in. What episode are we on now, Steve?
This is going to be 25.
So, 25 episodes. It's been a pleasure. It's been emotional.
You're in the 1% club.
We've reached the 1% club, and I think it might be time to retire. But on a serious note, yeah, they're obviously very low at this point. So
Yeah.
very, very confused as to how I'm going to produce 30 minutes of content for you. So
I'm sure we'll put.
Please ask me some interesting questions.
I'll try my best. I think when we were in the kebab shop after the game, somehow I was managed to pull out a 4.9 kebab shop close to the stadium. And yeah, once we'd ordered the kebabs, in fact, when we were ordering the kebabs, Az gave the famous line, "I've got nothing left," like Ian Beale. You nearly didn't order anything because you couldn't eat.
It was actually that bad.
So all I needed to
The good thing is we're all EastEnders fans, so they knew what I was talking about. So Ron was with us at the time as well.
Actually, we could have acted out the meme, right? Ron.
I did say. You asked me how did I feel. I said, yeah, I feel like Ian Beale, and Ron's probably Phil Mitchell, and I've got nothing left.
And he's the biggest EastEnders fan out of all of us.
And that did sum up my emotions at the time. But yeah, sometimes you just have to block those things out and focus the task at hand. And then you boys were hungry, and it's always my role to deliver good dinner options. And yeah, I think I had a chicken shawarma was pretty good, to be fair.
They took the time with it as well, which is nice. So they really put effort in. Chips were decent.
Good options on the condiments as well. I think they produced.
Yeah, the chili sauce was excellent.
Ketchup, mayo. So
Table service at a kebab shop. I mean, can't get any better.
I mean, it's probably a better performance from the kebab shop guys than the team, to be fair.
And the execution of this podcast to get a dinner.
Your strategy with the kebab shop is probably better than Ruben's game plan as well, you could argue.
Certainly, based on what we saw on the pitch, things didn't work out in the way we wanted to.
Yeah.
I always say, though, in football, the result always determines the narrative. And because we lost, it was obviously a horror show. It's weird, though, that I look at Ange's game plan and go, well, Spurs didn't do particularly anything either, but they won the football match, and that's all. In a cup final, that's all that matters at the end of the day. So, yeah, hard to take. But, yeah, very disappointing.
Well, let's talk about some fun stuff before we get into the game, because the actual day I really enjoyed, even the day surrounding it. Even now I'm having a good time in San Sebastian, but obviously it's been dampened by that result. So just rewinding a little bit. Obviously, we released our pre-match pod with that beautiful background out in the Basque Country, and I think it's fair to say we're all feeling positive in our pre-match pod.
Big smiles. You could see the teeth. A lot of energy in the voices.
Clear blue skies,
Clear blue skies.
beautiful ocean.
Ron was pumped, ready to go.
Yeah. It was only Spurs we were playing as well. And
Yeah,
exactly.
So it's only
surely we're
Spurs.
going to win.
I know.
I'm not a clown.
Yeah, we all of the vibes felt good, and yeah, I mean, if we talk about our day, we drove in to Bilbao, got there for lunchtime, lovely pizza again. As you pulled the pizza place out the bag, you think your best pizza ever? You said potentially.
Was right up there, I have to say. So yeah, 5 stars, and there isn't a 6-star in my scale. So
Up there with your pizzas, right?
it was better than my pizza, better than my own pizza, which is the highest acclaim you can get. So,
But pound for pound, yours is probably better, right? If you consider they've got the better equipment, and you're working with a home kitchen.
I don't want to get sound arrogant in my pizza cooking.
Quality ingredients though could be better here compared to London. But
You do get you do get good produce in,
but the Basque Country
as well. No, but I mean the tomatoes pizza. I mean, are we going into a pizza?
Why not? I'd rather talk about pizza than the game.
education.
So I think you can buy Italian. I use Italian ingredients anyway. You can buy Italian flour. You can buy Italian tin tomatoes, San Marzano tomatoes, and mozzarella.
Back to them.
All your good local supermarkets. But if Waitrose do want to sponsor us, that's where I typically go.
Oh, you're a Waitrose guy.
Yes, I am indeed. Yeah.
Fair enough. Yeah, you like quality. Can't argue with that. So yeah, good pizza. Had a little stroll around Bilbao. We were headed to the fan zone. What did you make of the fan zone? The official United fan zone. This is up the hill.
Oh, that one. Well, apart from the hike to get up there, yeah, it was a good atmosphere up there. Concert was going on. Cortinas, bit
Yeah,
of
yeah,
19 Forever.
Yeah.
Don't know when 21's going to come, but we'll have to worry about that for another day.
The lead singer,
Liam Frey.
Liam Frey, looked very drunk.
Yeah.
I could say a bit drugged up as well.
Possibly. I'm not sure which drugs, but
don't want to put
possibly cocaine.
Don't want to put any rumours out there. But
Is that the white stuff, Charlie?
to be honest, boys, I was actually disappointed with the fan zone. I thought it was pretty dead. I mean, just loud music. I don't think it was very
I
busy.
think the spread, that was the thing. The United fans were spread across Bilbao.
Yeah. I think it's judging by when we were walking up to it, we see a lot of people leaving. So I think a few people went to check it out and didn't think much of it and left from what I could make out. The weather was, it was a bit cloudy. So
I think they did their best. I mean, obviously, we'll probably talk about it a tiny bit later in terms of where we went, where all the fans were. But it was well organised, and we met some interesting people there, Steve, didn't we?
Yeah, so we bumped into Flex, and he gave us a little bit, didn't he, to say, and listening to what he said now. Let's kick it off. We're in the United fan zone. Just bumped into Flex, the main man. Flex, how you feeling about the game?
Do you know what, yeah? I thought when I landed here, I thought I'd be like, the nerves would kick in and like, oh my God, we can't lose to Spurs.
You're feeling confident, aren't you? I
Bro,
can feel it.
it's the opposite, man.
You feeling confident?
Yeah, I'm
I can
feeling,
feel
do you
your
know what I
energy.
mean? I'm like,
I can feel your energy.
there's something like, I'm like, nah, man, we
what it
got
is.
players
It's the
back.
heritage.
Like,
It's the heritage.
do you know
as
what I
well.
mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, Spurs have done us like the last few games, they've beaten them since 2022, all of that. But like, this is a final,
Big
man.
game,
It's
innit?
a European final, bro.
We got big players.
Exactly. Euro, I think, goes straight back in.
Straight in, yeah.
I think he goes straight back in at left centre back. I think the likes of Xerxes and Dallo, I think they may have to be on the bench and then see how they can help us later on in the game. But I don't know. I don't know whether it's arrogance or cocky, but I just feel, I can only be honest, I feel like we're going to win by 2, bro.
Yeah,
Whether that's 3-1, 2-0, 4-2, I don't know, but we're winning by 2.
2 goal win,
By 2 goals, I'm saying.
within 90 minutes, yeah?
Yeah, within 90.
Yeah, so as you listen to Flex there, and I think his channel's United View on YouTube, really good content. He said he was nervous, right? And as soon as he got to Bilbao, I think he felt the vibes and the good energy, and he started to feel confident.
I felt he got the positive energy from you, Steve. You were really pumped, and I felt Flex's energy go to another level.
On that note, like the whole week, I've been telling you boys this, I just felt really confident. And obviously, we discussed this. It's not necessarily based on the performances this season. It's very much the heritage, the big game players, Spurs having injuries, all of that in the mix. I just really,
In the vital area as well, right, where Tottenham had the injuries, creativity.
yeah, I just really felt we were going to win. As I think you even by match day, you were thinking 2-3-0, potentially a comfortable win.
Yeah, I said 2-0, I think. Yeah.
Yeah. So, yeah, I think everyone was feeling confident, right? So,
Even the Spurs fans should be added,
yeah,
and all the journos. Pretty much, some of them did say Spurs could do it, but then they always went back to either the heritage or the cup experience that our team had. And overall, I think most people, even the Spurs fans that we met, right, they were nervous, not confident.
yeah. I think I must have bumped into at least 10 to 20 fans and spoke to them pre-match, and I can't think of one that actually felt confident.
Yeah.
They were definitely
They
not.
still seemed lacking in confidence after they'd won the
Yeah,
trophy.
definitely.
Very strange.
They felt sheepish to celebrate. Yeah,
Just very odd.
yeah.
So I guess they've had a very difficult season as well. So
And a barren spell.
but I think if we had won the trophy, despite our difficult season, there would have been a huge outburst of emotion and celebration. And I didn't really
Yeah,
feel that. It was
It's more apologetic, like having not won a trophy in 17 years.
I think what was interesting is I can certainly say from my youth and growing up, I always associated Tottenham with playing good football, and I think a lot of Spurs fans support Tottenham because of that. And most of them were saying, yeah, it was a shit game, and that
Yeah.
they were focusing less on the result than the actual quality of the game,
Yeah.
which is really interesting. Well,
Yeah.
for United, it's like it doesn't matter how you get through; you just want to win the match.
After the game, every Spurs fan that I bumped into, especially the ones at the car park, they all said the game was shit and one of the worst finals in terms of quality. So, yeah, like you said, if it was United winning that, we wouldn't give a shit because winning is all that matters.
Yeah, I think the few Spurs fans I spoke to post-match, like I know a couple, and the ones that messaged me said, we were United with a slightly better team as well, but at the end of the day, it doesn't matter, right? It's all about who wins the game. We talked about pre-match, comes down to who's going to produce the moment, and unfortunately for us, no one was able to produce that moment of quality to, we created a few chances, but not clear-cut chances, and even the chances we did create, we couldn't put the ball in the net. So just before we get into the game, heading into the stadium, yeah, how were you boys feeling? Like actually, as you walked into the stadium.
I was very calm. I had Ron obviously with us as well. And
Sorry, I do have to rewind a little bit because I forgot about the square.
I was going to say,
Yeah.
what's Faisal Islam?
Yeah. So we went into the square, right? Plaza Nueva. I probably butchered the name there, but that's where all the United fans were hanging out.
yeah, so that's why they run out the fan park.
Yeah, so we got a tip off that, there's a load of United fans in the square. So we headed down to the square.
Yeah.
Good cheesecake place on the side of that square.
I was going to say that was definitely the best cheesecake that we've had in Basque so far.
It's a chain, and there's one down here as well. So I'm going to get one.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Ash is obviously flying out tonight, so I'm going to make sure that I'm going to do the same tomorrow when I fly out.
Nice. Yeah, so as we headed into the square, full of United fans.
Yeah, that was a sea of red in the square.
Yeah, and I think you boys bumped into Faisal Islam of the BBC, right?
Yeah, Ron eagle-eyed, he saw him. Not the first time we've spotted him at a final. So we actually spotted him at it was the FA Cup final.
It was at the FA Cup
last
final
year
as well. Yeah,
outside was it an Indian restaurant?
outside Axel Koch's restaurant. We did we have dinner there?
Wembley away,
FA
right?
Cup final.
Yeah, it went away. So yeah, that's the second time it was spotted, and then
It was definitely me who spotted him because I don't know if Ron actually watches any news, so he would know who Faisal Islam is. Ron, make a comment on the pod if you actually.
If he was on EastEnders, he would definitely.
Exactly.
Are you not saying Ron follows economics via the BBC?
I'm suspicious of this. We'll see.
You don't think he follows the interest rates?
So maybe how it actually went. I spotted him. Ron went to talk to him. That's normally how.
Maybe.
That's the usual way of things. Yeah, we work as a team.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you picked him out, and then obviously Ron, always on the front foot, went over to speak to him, and managed to get a nice little preview from him on our pod, and this is what he had to say. Welcome to the Let's Kick It Off podcast. We're live in Bilbao. Got Faisal Islam with me here.
Hello.
How are you feeling?
Good, confident.
Feeling confident, yeah?
People don't realise
that this is not, it is the Europa League final, but it's actually the end of a 2-year cup run for United.
All started with that FA Cup run, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So-
and well, let's just see where we go. But there's an obviously logical thing to extend that if it goes our way tonight.
So what you're saying is we can thank Anthony for getting that equaliser against Liverpool in the FA Cup.
Well, Ahmad,
Exactly, the win.
Coventry VAR,
Exactly.
Kobe Mainoo's goal against City.
It's crazy,
Yeah,
right?
but no, it's like any number.
It's all connected.
It's quite a lot of sliding doors moments in this.
That's very true, right? So, what do you think about tonight? How do you see the game going?
I mean, what do they call it? The clownico, haven't they? It really annoyed me with Arsenal fans saying that, but you can see why. If Ruben gets the selection right, we should win.
And
That's a bit of an if.
what does that selection look like?
Well, I think it's a tough decision about Højlund.
What would you do? What would you do with Højlund?
I'm attracted. Listen, I look at all these tactics podcasts and blogs, and do you understand? I understand. False nine, low block, XGC. I mean, what is this? It's
too technical?
It's just tedious these days. It's tedious, and it's unfortunately what Pep has done to our game.
Right.
Did you watch the cup final?
Yes, I did.
Did you watch that Crystal Palace goal?
He overthought it.
It was just, the Crystal Palace goal, just a thing of absolute beauty. Just like, wow, that is...
Long ball, right, direct.
No, but like skill, fast,
Yeah.
direct, but skill, you can't... That's not like Wimbledon. That is English football, right?
So that's what you like,
Too
yeah?
much stepping on the ball, passing it backwards. Like, we've been to these finals. I've been to 2 where we played Pep's teams, and they were better than us. Been to 3 actually, if you count the cup final, and they were better than us.
But we won the game.
Well, no, we won it, which is why last year's cup final was so amazingly emotional. But I think the big thing is that it's a boring way of playing football, right? It's stop, pass backward. It's weasel football, right? It's not what we.
It's not the DNA.
We're playing this shirt. It's not football.
Right. Okay.
So, like some sort of energy
Right.
required.
Okay.
A sense of just gung ho, excitement.
You want that attacking?
A little bit of that, yeah. And so I wonder what's happened to Rasmus. I saw the videos. I thought he's going to be like that. He's going to be chasing all these balls.
Yeah.
So no, what I'm excited about right now is you've got to pick the people on form. So I'm thinking Mason Mount, Kobe, Garnacho as a sub. Tough decision about Højlund.
Yeah.
Maybe bring him on with a sub.
Right.
They're quite solid at the back, Spurs.
Yeah.
Midfield, dynamic and young, maybe not.
Mason Mount, maybe. Legs in the middle. Yeah. Okay.
But listen, I'm not Mr. Tactics.
Fair enough. You want a
I want
good
to be
game
excited
and United to win, right? Okay.
That's what Faisal had to say. Can you please explain XG to Faisal?
Can I explain XG to Faisal? Do you actually want me to
Go on, give me a brief,
Explain it to the listeners.
brief explanation. Because we do bang on about XG a lot, and I'm not sure we've actually explained it.
Oh, okay. So, do you remember when you watch a football match and afterwards the statistics would come up, right? And it'll tell you the shot count. And the shot count in this game was, I think, 16-3.
Yeah.
I think. So you'd go, okay, 16-3, United clearly dominate this game, apparently, right? Through number of shots. All XG looks to do is to try and assign a value to those shots. Were those 16 high-quality shots or low-quality shots? Were they 3 high-quality
Like
shots?
Euro blazing out the bar, for example, would be a low XG, right?
So the closer, so it basically they've got a model where it says, okay, based on previous occasions, how likely is it for someone to score from this particular position, based on the position of the defenders, based on the goalkeeper being here, or what's the likely outcome of this? So, for example, the easiest one is penalty kicks. You can go through penalty kicks because it's a standard thing and see, okay, how many times is a penalty scored? And I think it's around 0.81, right? So 81% of the time, it might be slightly different, but around that. So therefore, a penalty kicks get to 0.181 XG. You look at the XG for this game, I think you told me, Steve, that it was fairly even, that
Yeah. 0.8, like
Yeah, we were a tinge over 1.
Spurs.
Yeah, and
higher than we
each
thought.
Spurs were
each model's
0.82.
different. So you might have like 5 different XGs, but essentially you've got an even XG. Which what does that say? Is the 16 shots to 3 actually in reality those 16 shots were low quality chances, and Spurs had a similar opportunity to score, of which one of those was assuming the Brennan Johnson goal,
Which
where
would have made up a lot of.
which made up a lot of it, and they score from that. So
hmm Yeah, okay. Well, hopefully that's clear to Faisal, and hopefully he understands that.
Hopefully, he embraces it now going forward.
Yeah,
I don't know why people don't like it, because I think it's just another way of like, what's the possession stats, right?
yeah.
I think he's making the point that there's too much analysis around football.
Yeah.
But as someone that is analytically minded, and I'm just thinking, Faisal, you're the ex-political editor and now the economics editor, and you want to explain to us about interest rate changes. So,
Or
you know,
inflation.
why we're getting complicated about these things? I find it interesting, and I think why not do a bit of analysis on football?
I think, to be fair, his general point was he thinks the analysis on football has gone a bit too deep because he was talking about Pep. No, maybe not even the analysis, also the tactics. He was talking about Pep ruining football and, like that whole obsession, you could say, about tactics.
Yeah.
Do you agree with him, or?
I think it's just culture. As we've gone on in time, there's more data available. We live in a world of social media, internet. That internet only came around like early 90s when football. We were watching the Premiership, as Jim would say, back then. So it's inevitable that data will come into it. I mean, I remember when Optastats, came around, I think early 2000s, and everyone was like, "What is this?" And Optastats now is seen as, you know, dinosaur like kind of statistics or idiot statistics, because things like assists, we don't want to go into it today, but it's like can you put a true metric on it? Because if I pass you the ball and then you bend it into the top corner 25 yards out, is it really my assist?
Is on FPL.
Yeah, and that's
We're not having big battles, so we'll have to discuss how you
Yeah.
make a
Yeah,
comeback.
I need to pull something out of the bag big time.
I know you obviously. I mean, I still like the eye test as well, but I don't mind mixing. You're a gut feeling guy.
Yeah, I like the gut, but I don't mind data. I
Yeah.
like using both.
It's a guide more than anything.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the vibe in the square was good. Started to head to the stadium. You two and Ron were sitting in the official United end. I was in the neutral section, so I had a really good view right next to the media.
Did they have prawn sandwiches?
No prawn sandwiches. I was really disappointed actually with the food available because I was quite peckish by this point because we'd eaten at like 2 o'clock and I just wanted some chips to keep me going. So queued, so just queued for about 15, 20 minutes.
Patatas brava.
Yeah, just needed something. And then I got to the front of the queue, no food available. Had to resort to some nuts, well-flavored nuts, to be fair.
Which I demolished later on.
Kept going. And one thing that did actually keep me going, on about 70 minutes, I pulled out a chocolate that Carl Anka gave me. Just as I was heading into the stadium, I spotted Carl Anka heading into the media entrance. And obviously, me being me, I pulled out the mic and asked him to do a little bit for the pod.
Need to get a friend from the Athletic on, don't we?
I know, yeah. Obviously, he's one of the United journalists for the Athletic. And yeah, he gave us a little bit. And again, he was feeling confident going into the stadium, but I did kind of challenge him a little bit because I'd listened to the previous few pods on the Athletic, and he was the one giving the nervous energy. So I said, what's changed? And as you heard there, he basically said he can feel it. He can feel that we're going to win.
Almost like if you smell what the Rock is cooking.
Basically, that's what he said. Yeah. So yeah, when you boys were walking in, I'm guessing nothing changed in how you feeling about the game. Any nerves kick in then, Naz?
Always nerves. Always nerves. Beautiful stadium. Yeah, you always have that tension. We watched the warm up really closely. I've heard it mentioned before, our United warm up, and they maintain that in terms of practicing set piece situations and drills. I was obviously looking at the warm up of Dallo and Xerxes as well. They were doing their own individual one coming back from injury, and that made me okay, there'll be an option off the bench.
Onana was doing a very interesting goalkeeper exercise where he was essentially lying down and the ball was being fed from the other side and he was flicking it. So it was almost like, I guess, shots which are low and the ability to like flick it away from goal. And he was doing that quite, intensely.
Unfortunately, when the Brennan Johnson chance came, he flicked it into the net,
Thinking that,
which was and that was the goalkeeping coach who Ruben Amram said he'd rather play than Marcus Rashford, who was helping him with that.
Good old 60-year-old.
And I was looking at him thinking, I'd be very surprised if he could, score goals.
yeah, yeah.
But
Yeah, okay, and then the game kicked off, and I personally felt, from my prawn sandwich view, those first 10 minutes, I felt relatively comfortable, confident. I thought we kept the ball quite well. Yes, we didn't create anything, but those early parts of finals, I think bit of possession just settled the nerves down a bit. I was feeling pretty good
I
after.
think Spurs look good. They look nervous as well.
Yeah.
So
But yeah, I think after that, I was talking to me. How did you see the first half in general? Outside of the first 10 minutes, or even how
Do you remember it?
I would say it's the thing that I thought coming into this game was the first goal would be crucial because we don't score enough goals. And so when they scored first, that was just a hammer blow.
Before half time as well.
And the problem is when you are sitting in the game, it's hard to get an exact view of it and what happened with the goal. But the funny thing is, I've been listening to a lot of post-match analysis, and no one seems to still know what happened with the goal.
Yeah, did he touch it on the end?
I think it's clear that the ball comes in, Johnson misses it, and then it hits Shaw, and then comes back into his path magically, and it's like the ball just appears there, and he taps it in.
That's what happened.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But everyone's like, "Oh no, it's a Shaw own goal." It's like,
No, it's not. I saw the YouTube highlights, and he definitely got a touch at the end.
as in, he's missed the ball.
Yeah, he missed it. The cross comes
He's
in.
gone past the ball.
Yeah,
ball's now behind him. It now ricochets back off Shaw and then back into his path.
For the listeners who can't see, it's an in-swinging ball, near post. Like you say, Johnson misses the ball. It comes off Shaw's, I think, shoulder. Back into the pathway of goal. I think it's probably going wide, and ever so slightly, Johnson's got a touch with his foot. Initially, when I saw the replay in the stadium, I thought it was an own goal, but when they gave it as Johnson's, I was like, "What they on about?" But then, after watching it again, it definitely does touch Johnson, because I've heard some other pods say that they're still skeptical if it did touch Johnson on the final part, but it definitely does.
For the benefit of Faisal Islam, it was a fucking shit goal to concede.
It was a poor goal.
Yeah, the cross, the time that was it Pape Sarr who put it in? He had a lot of time to put the ball in. Obviously, the marking's not great. It's not just Shaw with the poor marking. I think Maguire's behind the play as well. But yeah, I mean, I haven't watched it far enough back, but I've heard some pods talk about the fact that Bruno actually gives the ball away. I think it's an interception from Pape Sarr.
I mean, Steve, on the first half, generally, we were sloppy in possession. The interesting thing is a lot of the analysis going into the game was how Spurs are missing Maddison and Kulusevski, so they lack creativity. I think it almost played into Ange's hands because I don't know which way, is it chicken and egg? Did Ange want to play this way, or did he play this way because he was missing those players? But I think playing this way was the perfect game plan to go against us, which was just have a very physical midfield. Not really, you don't need creativity. Basically, it was very classic Jose Mourinho. I thought it was classic Mourinho. Let's park the bus. They didn't really look to threaten us, and then score a jammy goal, and then park the bus at double.
Well, we're not spoiling anything by giving the match stat, right? 27% possession for Spurs. So that tells you everything about, Jose and park the bus. I think it's worth touching on the lineup for Manchester United, because obviously throughout this very exciting Europa campaign, the midfield has been Agate and Casemiro, but Ruben made a a bold choice by playing Bruno next to Casemiro and dropping Ugarte for the final. So that was a big change from the campaign that we've had in the Europa. And then obviously Mason Mount starting, that was big, given that he's not played that many minutes both in the Premier League or the Europa. Garnacho, obviously a substitute,
Yeah.
having done a lot during the season. Ahmad even starting. I mean, probably fair given he is one of our best players, but again, not many minutes, so it's interesting. And then we got a striker completely out of form, so there was speculation, and obviously pundits and fans were talking about maybe doing a false nine. So yeah, I mean, I didn't quite think it was the lineup we were all expecting. I know our lineups were all different from Ruben's anyway, but I thought, for example, Garte would start, Bruno Fernandes would play in one of the number 10. So I think that's worth touching on. What was your thoughts, Ron? Sorry, Steve, even.
Thanks for that compliment.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, no, I think
You have better hair than Ron, to be fair.
when we saw the lineup heading into the stadium, yeah, I think the bold call, yeah, like you said, is Ugarte. But I think in my pre-match prediction in terms of the lineup, I wanted Mason Mount to play.
I don't think Ugarte was that bold a call.
Well, he hasn't been playing that
He
well.
hasn't been playing that well.
Yeah.
So even though he's played the previous game,
Yeah,
it's kind of like I think the Mason Mount one
yeah,
was in, and you wanted Mount in the team,
I did.
and when you said that, I was like, oh, I quite like that idea.
But that was with Ugarte because I wanted Ugarte's. I wanted Ugarte and Casemiro holding, and then Mount and Bruno.
Yeah.
Bruno up the pitch, right?
Yeah.
So that I think that was the difference, right? Bruno was deeper, and Casemiro, I feel like he got overrun a little bit in that game.
I almost feel by Bruno playing next to Casemiro like a more holding or passing role, that probably helped Tottenham in terms of play the way they did. Because if Bruno was further up the pitch, yep, he probably could have given the ball away a bit more. But the attacking threat of Bruno would have caused more disruption to that Spurs backline and their midfield.
It'd be an even worse game then. Can you imagine Spurs defensive setup?
Yeah.
And then us having Casemiro and Ugarte.
Yeah,
It would have been
Very scrappy.
dodge fest.
It would have been really scrappy, but Bruno further up the pitch is always better for me.
but I know you were disappointed with the way Ruben managed the game. So, like, in terms of the initial lineup and even like his changes, yeah, what did you make of the way he handled that?
Yeah, I was very, very, very disappointed. At half time, I was saying to Ash, this is at half time. I would have gone half time sub early. Garnacho on for sure would have been my change. I just cannot. I've said this so many times. Episode 25 is probably the 25th pod that I've said this, although I wasn't on pod number 2. So I'm going to say the 24th.
Well, you
pod.
double up on the word, so you probably said it 50 times. But...
Oh, in terms of the number of times, I think more like 50,000 times that I don't want Mazraoui at right wing back. I just don't think that it doesn't help for Ahmad to constantly be trying to beat 3 players by himself. That you want a wing back to get up and support him. I know that Mazraoui is good defensively, and you want to try and nullify a little bit, but
it's too negative though.
For me, it's too negative. So I would have Shaw as well. Just looked rusty for me. So I don't understand why he's looked rusty anyway coming into this game. And I trust Ruben to understand the physical condition of his players, but he just looked rusty on the goal. And I'm a big Luke Shaw fan, but I felt that we needed Garnacho on the pitch. I think I had Garnacho instead of Hoyland him. I can't remember my starting lineup, but Garnacho is the player that can provide some dynamism, and he took far too long to bring him on. So there's that. Then he made what felt like just like for like changes, right? So Xerxes also came on, but for Hoyland.
Yeah.
So Garnacho for Mount in the 10, Xerxes for Hoyland as a striker, and Dallo for Mazraoui. And you're like, wait a minute, you didn't have enough attacking players on the pitch to begin with, and you have the same number of attacking players to finish with. And the tactic towards the end seemed to be Dallo crosses the ball into the box with Harry Maguire up front and Xerxes at the 10.
What was your suggestion? Because it was a good one.
I was just saying, if that's your tactic, which is a very legitimate tactic, if you believe that, but Spurs by this point have gone to a 5-4-1, like full Papa bus mode.
Not interested in attacking at all.
No interest in attacking. So, you do need to the Maguire, like people joke about sticking Maguire up front, but putting up your tall player into the box, wherever that person is, the Fellaini role or whatever, isn't an abnormal.
And against two tall centre backs for Spurs, right? So you needed that physicality at that point.
Yeah, but why didn't you bring on Christian Eriksen to do that? Put Bruno out there to be if you're thinking, okay, I want to create a situation where I have a ball that's crossed into the box to people who can head the ball. Steve, who would you want of our team crossing the ball into the box?
Yeah, Eriksen's a good judge. Doesn't have any legs. Bruno's Bruno's the best crosser.
So you set up the team to go, okay, this is my plan.
Yeah.
Dallo coming on to do that, it didn't fill me with any confidence. The other way, I think a team should attack a low block is to try and work to the byline for cutbacks, because you can. I think we probably made 50 crosses and probably won 3 of them in the game. I think Luke Shaw had that opportunity. It reminded me a bit like, is it the David Moyes against Fulham game where it was like 82 crosses?
Yeah.
It's like
Old Trafford,
just come on, you've got to come up with something slightly
That was our best chances, because obviously Bruno had the header as well, didn't he? That was a pretty good chance. Was that first half?
Second half.
Yeah.
That was another cross that comes in towards the near post, and Bruno, if he's gonna head it, he's got to allow the header to come to him, and he's got to try and direct it the other side of goal rather than near.
Yeah.
Because it's hard.
I know there's the Encanto song "We Don't Talk About Bruno," which I referenced in the last pod, I think. But we need to talk about Bruno, because we did this. I don't know if it was on a pod, but I know we were discussing. We did our combined 11, and then I think up post that pod we were chatting. And I was like, oh, the thing with the combined 11 is yes, I would put more Spurs than United, but it doesn't account for the fact often in football, it's individuals and moments that can make the difference. And I think we're going to win because we have Bruno Fernandes, and he didn't turn up.
Mm-hmm.
And it really depresses me, because I spend so much time defending the guy, and a lot of people would say he doesn't turn up in big games. He gives the ball away too much. He's just, he's tries the Hollywood pass too much, and all of the criticism that I hear about Bruno and petulant, gets worked up. I've nothing to say. All those people are right, and I have
I disagree. I know what you're saying. You're a little bit disappointed with it, but I thought Bruno actually kept his head all right. I was more disappointed with Maguire. He was losing it for like 10 minutes at the end of the game up there, and I wanted some hit for him to show his experience and keep a cool head.
I think that was frustration though, because he even said himself pre-match about he doesn't want to be going up front every time trying to save United.
I don't think it was that. You know what it is? I can tell you what it is, because I have this thing as well. Is Romero is basically cheating, and I don't want to sound like Graham Souness and talk about Argentinians and Argentinian culture, because that's what Graham Souness.
But you are.
But Christian Romero himself, right, who happens to be from Argentina, was basically cheating, right? And some people will say, "Oh, that's part of the game."
What was he doing?
It's just time wasting.
Around on the floor for no reason, constantly, right?
Richarlison was, got cramp after like 50 odd minutes.
Yeah, it was. I mean, the whole thing, Jose. It was a pure Jose. It was, and this is.
But we're not, time passing South American footballers to do that, right?
Not at all.
Just to be clear,
it's a big individual.
Exactly.
Richarlison, Romero, the rest of Argentina and Brazil are wonderful people, and they would never do anything.
No, never.
That would be considered unethical, or unsportsmanlike. But he was. Maguire was just like, what is going on? Like, stop being.
But I think it's all about combined, right? Because obviously, I think he had a couple of physical battles with Romero, and he wasn't going to give an inch, which was actually nice to see from Maguire. I mean, there's even social media footage of after the game I think it's so Romero goes to Dallo. No, actually, Romero goes to Maguire. Maguire's like, fuck off. He just dismissed him. Because I think Romero had his hand out. Romero then goes to Dallo, and Roy Keane talks about this all the time. You just lost the final. Why the fuck are you hugging, shithousery centre back from the opposition? But he does. And Maguire actually goes over to Dallo and like splits them apart and pushes Romero on to be like, fuck off. Like,
Yeah, that's what
get lost.
he was fuming like for the last 10 minutes
Yeah.
of the game and into post match as well.
But I almost feel like the frustration is because we left too much on the table as a team.
I know, but like I want my big players to keep their head in that moment.
I didn't mind it because at the end of the day, he didn't get sent off. He did get yellow carded, I believe. Right?
Yeah, he did. But I don't think Maguire had a chance. I think the biggest chance for us, and annoyingly, I missed it because I think the drinks break was about, I don't know, like 70. It was during the second half. They did a drinks break. I thought, oh, I'll go for a
I
quick
love how
win.
you're calling it the drinks.
Yeah, I know, it's like cricket.
It wasn't a drinks break. It was a gamesmanship by Richarlison, I think it was.
Oh, right. Well, everyone started heading over. I thought, oh, it's a drinks break.
No,
I'll go for a
this
quick.
is what I mean. Like you see, there's the official tactics. It's a tactics.
I thought it
Tactics
was.
section.
No, guys, I
You
headed
said one more of their time waste.
Oh, okay. I headed into concourse, went for a wee, and then I can hear like the crowd go, and then I think it was when Hoyland had the shot cleared off the line.
Yeah, we're talking about. We probably spent 38 minutes discussing whether Onana or Vicario was our goalkeeper because they're both up for a clanger, and it was Vicario who
He made some
delivered.
really good saves.
He made some really. Yeah, we talked about how good his shot stopping is, but it was like he was always up for that, and he basically somehow decided to miss. I think maybe hit him in the face. I don't. Just completely
Yeah.
missed the ball.
Didn't catch it.
Without any United player around him, it rebounds out, and Hoyland's there with the header, and Van de Ven doing some kind of Jean-Claude Van Damme
WWF
I mean, it was just
move. Yeah.
a ridiculous goal line clearance. If that goal goes to fine margins, I think if
Yeah.
we score there, I think we have a huge. I think we win the game.
I've actually heard some people say like he should have scored. Like I think it's a bit harsh. He done everything
Hit the
within
target.
reason. Yeah, he hits the target with the header, and like you said, like Van der Ven, he's a tall guy anyway. He's jumping probably like 7 foot up in the air, like flicking the ball away with his long legs. But I wanted to go back to Bruno quickly because look, at the end of the day, it was a disappointing performance, but I can't help but feel like, that was imposed on him because of the role that he had within the team to play next to Casemiro.
Oh, you don't need to pass the ball to the opposition.
In the first or second half, you're talking about
The
that.
whole game, the Bruno game,
more so-
far too much.
But obviously, he got desperate, right? Because he's swinging in crosses and swinging in balls.
No, in the first half,
He was
the
a little
first-
bit sloppy. He was sloppy, but he was trying.
He
things,
was
wasn't
trying to.
but trying too hard. And I
Tried
think
it.
earlier in other parts of the season when he's played that midfield role, he hasn't. And to me, when we talked about before the game, the big players, their mentality being the differentiator that you've just discussed Maguire. We can also talk about Casemiro. Didn't turn up for this game.
Yeah.
Bruno Fernandes didn't turn up for this game. The people that were in well, I don't think Maguire got in the combined 11, but we said Casemiro, we said Bruno Fernandes.
Yeah.
The big players didn't show themselves. I don't think that Spurs did anything amazing.
Yeah.
Right. But you want those guys to produce that moment, and they didn't produce.
You say that though, and this is the thing. Obviously, when you go to matches, like the difference in terms of pressing from Spurs, like a Pape Sarr, my God, like he presses at like gear 6 in a car, and when we press, it's like gear 2. Like the physical difference in terms of like the speed at which Spurs press is so far ahead of us, which shows why we finished 17th or going to finish 16th or 17th in the league.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't call it. I mean, whether you call it pressing or not, Basuma,
It's physical
Yeah.
though,
uh,
as a minimum.
and they, it was they're physical, right, in the midfield. That doesn't mean that you're under much. I don't think Bruno was under huge pressure in those situations.
No, but he gets less time compared to like probably what he even thinks at training.
Play it simple.
Yeah.
Simple. You
I
gotta
mean,
play it simple. In these games, when we're up in the final, you need to maintain composure. You want to dominate the ball and not give away easy possession and play into Spurs' hands.
I almost feel like there was a bit of nervousness even with Bruno in terms of like it's the final.
No, there was, but that's my
But
point.
he's not playing his natural role. Like I know he's had like amazing games and he was man of the match at like Anfield and stuff, but his best role still is a number 10.
So this then comes back to Ruben, and we'll touch on Ruben post-match, right? So you're kind of making the point that you feel like Bruno could have been played in a different position and may have performed better,
Yeah.
is what you're getting at. But I think we covered the main chances. The only other one I think was the Garnacho shot where he cut in.
Yeah.
It was a good save, right?
And it just shows you Garnacho, lot of flaws. I think he's missed a significant number of chances this season, but he's the one guy that can take on, as well as Ahmad, who's come back from injury, and make something happen. And this is why I think that, and I can the tweet, is it, or the Instagram, or
Yeah.
what you youngsters use, your social media things, what is it, the Facebook?
I think it was it.
That's yours.
That you know, he expressed his disappointment that he'd played
Well, his brother initially, and then
in that,
yeah.
and then him, that and I understand that, in that, you know, Mount has barely contributed this season and comes in and starts ahead of him. And when he came on, he did provide, and I do think that is sort of where you can, as much as you might not think Garnacho is the guy in this team, what this team lacks is what he has, which is that ability to drive at the opposition, take them on, and he should have been on earlier, in my potentially even started, but even if he hasn't started,
Get him on early.
get him on much earlier than we let the game drift too much in that first.
When you're
half.
1-0 down, you've got to get him on early to give yourself a chance, and I think that's the thing.
Should have been on at half time.
Yeah, I think that's why the fans are pissed, right? Because we didn't give ourselves enough chances to, like, even with the substitutes, like, give yourselves like good 35, 40 minutes to go and have a go. The Man United way.
Somehow, like even when the clock was 90, I think it was +7. I still felt we were going to get a goal, and then maybe that's the heritage.
And that's the crazy part, right? The Luke Shaw chance,
Yeah,
still comes in that
that's what I
period.
mean. That was the one, and when that doesn't go, anything, okay,
Yeah,
it's not happening tonight. And then obviously the full-time whistle goes, and the reality kicks in. The scenario that we couldn't contemplate pre-match of Spurs winning happened. Obviously an element of shock on our side, the United side. Spurs fans going crazy.
I think the shock, though, it was almost like, because of the way the game went, it was like sleepwalking into it anyway.
Yeah, you could see it coming.
You could feel it coming, yeah.
Obviously, we all wanted to get out there straight away. When I left, I saw, I think, maybe like 12-year-old United fan in the concourse, bawling his eyes out.
Yeah.
Felt really sorry for him, told him to keep his head up. But, his age, he's only seen, well, you could say we won trophies, but, he's seen a very rocky Man United
Not a very good one, yeah.
compared to even me and obviously you guys.
Well, I was bawling my eyes out on Ron's shoulder.
So yeah,
I was thinking of my nephew at home. I mean, he's way too young to know this final, but it was a shame that his first, major final. Like, this is the thing. This is what really gets me. It was the Spurs. That's what I really struggle with.
yeah.
I can take it if it was like Arsenal, Chelsea, but to lose to Spurs is just the hammer blow, and just punch like a.
I feel differently, because the Spurs, for every Spurs fan I met.
No, it's not to do with Spurs fan. It's just the notion. It's the banter FC.
Lads at
Lads at
Spurs.
Spurs. It's all that.
I'm not a clown, mate.
Yeah, it is embarrassing. You cannot.
No, but
look at it any other
think
way.
in terms of the emotion versus a Chelsea or an Arsenal, I think there's a level of hatred I have there.
Yeah.
I just don't have it with
So you're
Spurs because of the lads. It's
No, but you're talking like if we were playing one of them teams
it would have been.
in the city, whereas the embarrassment.
It's the embarrassment.
Yeah.
factor.
I get what you're saying though.
I don't feel. I feel already embarrassed that I can't be embarrassed anymore.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
I think that's you just trying to close off from what happened.
no, the level of, in terms of being upset and sad, I've told you I'm Ian Beale, right? But in terms of embarrassment,
It's
we're already so embarrassed.
it's rock bottom.
It's rock bottom, and I didn't have a group of fans like putting it to me, but it was a weird thing where it was a good atmosphere
Yeah.
amongst the different support base.
Yeah.
While if it'd been Arsenal nailing the
Yeah.
coffin into us.
Yeah, because it's not a
No,
huge
but-
rivalry, is it? United Spurs.
Yeah, it's not the same.
Obviously, we're all gutted. Look,
No,
we're
no,
not
no.
after playing it, but
No. I was going to make a different point. What was really interesting about this final, like, obviously, as United fans, you always feel like the whole world is against you when it comes to the opposition fans. I had so many messages from like Arsenal fans, West Ham fans, Chelsea
this is
fans.
football, though.
No, saying like gutted you didn't win, but no,
Oh, I see. Right.
chill.
Yeah.
You know, they were gutted that we didn't win because they fucking hate Spurs more because they're all like,
I didn't get much.
only Liverpool, right? They're the pricks.
Well,
Apart from that,
I didn't. Fair enough.
And even Salah was tweeting.
yeah,
I mean, it's just
that's
like
what I mean.
Carragher,
Like they're so obsessed with us.
Carragher, lads, it's United. We know that last football, isn't it? The banter's going to come, but whichever way you frame it,
look, it's rock.
it's rock bottom.
Yeah,
rock
we've hit
bottom.
rock bottom now.
We're at the bottom. I think I know Ash now has a flight to catch, so he's potentially got to run. But we're going to have to do the we're at rock bottom, and how do we
Get out
of this podcast? I know I've said I've retired from the podcasting scene, but you know what? You might
Like
get
Muhammad Ali.
out for episode 26, Steve.
Yeah.
If you pay me enough.
The rebuild begins, and I think there's a lot to get into in the rebuild. But before we wrap up, we do just have to touch on, like, briefly the repercussions of this defeat, because
Do we?
well, you can touch on it.
Oh, God, flight to catch. So.
Well, very quickly. I think you sometime in March, February, you kind of gave up on Ruben. I'm guessing this only adds to that feeling.
Yeah, I mean, like, even if the performance was better than what it would have been, I probably would have said the same. And the fact that it was the performance that happened, it just doesn't change my mind at all. That I still think we should change.
Yep, that's fair enough. And as are you still, sticking by your plan of you're sticking with Ruben?
I think
At this point,
I think the emotions are really raw at the moment because we're like the day after the game, and I'm not someone that wants to make rash decisions. So I think what we should do is maybe close this one off. And Ash, you'll be back in London. Me and Steve, we've got a nice day to spend in San Sebastian. Get a bit of sun. Maybe go to the beach, relax, calm down, recover.
Get some cheesecake,
Bit of cheesecake,
gelato.
have some gelato, get some nice lunch, and maybe we should do another podcast where we talk about this, because I think it deserves its own thing. What are we going to do? What we're going to do going forward?
Some great coffee options. So get a latte, cortado.
I mean, that's the one thing I have to say about this trip. I've really, really enjoyed this trip. Bilbao, beautiful city, the surrounding areas, San Sebastian.
Yeah.
Highly recommend to anyone who's thinking about a holiday.
100%.
Northern Spain, Basque Country.
People have been very nice, welcoming, both in
Really
Bilbao.
great people. Yeah, really
Yeah.
good people. And I've seen lots of Palestine flags around, so it just warmed my heart given what's going on at the moment. So shout out to Spain, one of the few countries that is,
Massive shout out, flags everywhere, love it.
at the government level as well, called out the genocide. So great place to go. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for going on holiday, stay away from Germany and come to Spain.
Well, there's a bit of perspective because, football is just a game, you could say, but obviously it means a lot to us. The rebuild pod will be coming. I think it's not going to be one episode, it's going to be multiple. But yeah, we've got Aston Villa on Sunday at Old Trafford. That's going to be interesting. There's a protest plan against the ownership.
Will you be there?
I'm not planning to go to the game, but joining the protest sounds more
That could be
appealing. 'Cause
appealing.
I did say pre-match, if we lose this, the heat is going to turn on the ownership, and
You need to get into that subject.
that's what I mean.
Yeah.
Sheikh Jassim, where are you, my friend? Are you real? Is there another AI generated Qatari figure that they can pull out to front a bid, test the waters?
There's another AI generation we could get from maybe Saudi.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. So there's lots to talk about. So I don't think we are ending this podcast. If anything, you could probably argue if we'd have won, it would have been great. Yes, obviously. But having lost, having hit rock bottom, the climb now to the top, we're going to be documenting it the whole way. So maybe this was meant to be. Maybe it was written in the stars that we lose, we hit rock bottom, and the journey back to the top will be even more sweet.
And there's our Jake Humphrey moment for the pod.
End us on a positive. Give me one positive sign or something to buy into, and Can you give me any?
Give us some magic.
You got anything left now? A day later?
Have you got
Well,
a touch?
I've got a wonderful cheesecake shop that I'm going to visit. I'm going to drown my sorrows. Gonna take my top off and dive right in, as Greg Wallace would say.
Devour.
Okay, and on that bombshell, we'll wrap it up there. Thanks for tuning in, and we'll catch you on the next episode.
I'm not a clown, mate.
We're the fucking clowns.